former belt holder Jose Uzcategui hopes to serve up some Southern inhospitality as he welcomes Lionell Thompson to the 168-pound division. After beginning his professional career in his native Buffalo with mixed results, including debatable setbacks and the lone knockout loss of his career to Sergey Kovalev in 2012, Thompson shuffled off to Las Vegas in 2014, where his textbook skills and work ethic impressed none other than Mr. Hard Work, Dedication himself, Floyd Mayweather Jr., who signed Thompson to Mayweather Promotions. Now, membership has its perks as Thompson gets the national spotlight on a night he hopes to manifest the kind of performances that will keep these types of opportunities coming. Uzcategui hoping to end the year much better than he started it. In January, he lost his claim to the 168-pound throne to Caleb Plant in one of the first big upsets of 2019. And while he's made it clear he is not looking past Thompson, you don't have to ask him what he wished for when he blew out the candles on his 29th birthday on Christmas Eve. He wants to run it back with Plant, who is next defending his title in February. Let's go through the numbers with the tail of the tape, Al.
Well, it's been mentioned already that Thompson coming down from 175 pounds for his first time at 168. Well, look at this. When they re-weighed in tonight, he rehydrated all the way up to 189 pounds, gaining 21 pounds. He will be the bigger man.
And the rules for this fight: no standing 8 count, no 3 knockdown rule. Only the referee can stop the fight. A fighter cannot be saved by the bell in any round. If an accidental foul or headbutt causes a fight to end within 4 rounds, it's a no decision. After 4 rounds, they go to the scorecards for a technical decision. With the official introductions, here's Hall of Fame ring announcer Jimmy Lennon Jr.
Ladies and gentlemen, a very good evening to you, and we welcome you to the State Farm Arena here in Atlanta, Georgia, as Premier Boxing Champions presents a big night of action, and it's all brought to you by Mayweather Promotions, GTD Promotions, TGB Promotions, and Showtime. Tonight we're sponsored by MGM Resorts, Brooklyn Boxing, and Atlanta's own Quality Control Music. Introducing to you our 3 judges scoring this bout from ringside. We have from California, Max DeLuca, from Georgia, Harold Hunt, and from Georgia, Nola Oliver. And introducing our 3rd man in the ring, the referee in charge. He'll be giving instructions after the introductions, George Chip. All right, fans, here we go. 10 rounds of boxing scheduled in a super middleweight special attraction. Introducing to you first, on my left, fighting out of the red corner, wearing black trunks with red trim. He is fighting out of Las Vegas, Nevada. He weighed in at 168 pounds with a record of 21 wins and 5 losses. He has 12 wins coming by way of knockout. Please welcome the ranked light heavyweight contender tonight, making his super middleweight debut, introducing Lionell "Lonnie B" Davis.
Thompson.
And his opponent across the ring, fighting out of the blue corner, wearing yellow, blue, and red trim, fighting out of Tijuana, Baja California, Mexico, by way of El Vigía, Venezuela. He weighed in at 167 3/4 pounds. His record stands at 29 wins, 3 losses, 24 big wins coming by way of knockout. He is currently ranked the IBF number 5 world contender. Please welcome the former IBF super middleweight champion of the world, introducing Jose Bolivita Uzcategui. And a referee in charge now to give instructions, George Chip. Uzcategui versus Lionell Thompson.
Fighters, we've been over all the rules in the dressing room. Stick to them. Protect yourselves at all times. Obey my commands. Touch gloves, go to your corner, and come out fighting.
Getting things started here with a matchup at 168 pounds. Referee is George Chip. And we await the First bell of the night, and there it goes. Round one, Uzcategui sporting the Venezuelan flag colors of yellow, blue, and red. Thompson in the black and red trunk colors. And Thompson, who we mentioned, aligning himself with Mayweather Promotions. And Paulie, you ask around and you talk about Lionell Thompson, who, yeah, brings a record of 21-5 with just 12 knockouts into this fight. But many people talk about that work ethic in the gym and the skills that he has as he eats that right cross. But we also know that a lot of people are tremendous in the gym, and that doesn't always translate to the ring in the professional sense.
It doesn't always translate, but he has a great gym reputation. The right cross kind of grazed him there. I actually like the way he started out with a good jab thus far in this fight. But nonetheless, we'll see if it can translate. This is a step-up fight. In his previous steps up, he's kind of come up a little bit short. Some close encounters, though. Three of his losses are on split decisions that could have probably went his way. So this is actually a big opportunity for him to kind of prove himself at this level. And if he can get a win here, he'll, you know, at a new weight class, he'll be in the conversation for some bigger fights.
And now when Thompson put on the gloves the first time, it was so he wouldn't be able to pick up the proverbial fork. He tipped the Toledo at nearly 235 pounds when he was 13 years old.
Yeah, this sport was about him really getting in shape and making life better for himself. There's a jab to the body. For Lionell Thompson, it's all about the jab tonight. He feels that is absolutely the most important thing he needs to do. And for Uzcategui, you see him already throwing a couple right hands. His mission is to get that power punch in, which he didn't do against Caleb Plant.
Yeah, with Plant, he was in position a lot of times. He just didn't get his hands off. Plant has some really off-rhythm movement that can throw off your ability to set and punch if you're a fighter like Uzcategui. But Uzcategui will be in positions to punch, and he said he would move his hands more tonight. And we'll see if Thompson can make it happen and defend a little bit.
Most 6-year-olds trying to put together enough words to form a coherent sentence, while 6-year-old Uzcategui, he was learning to put together combinations under the tutelage of a street fighter father in Venezuela. And while he was born in Venezuela, he's never fought in his home country. Majority of his fights have come into his newly adopted homeland of Mexico.
26-0 there, and he's 3-3 in his fights in the United States.
With the political landscape of Venezuela, I don't think anybody's fighting in Venezuela, at least not in the ring.
True.
Final 30 seconds of the opening round, where Thompson trying to establish the jab, and Uzcategui, of course, looking to close the distance and utilize his perceived advantages out.
And one of them is the right, which we've seen him try and throw a number of times.
First right hand. Thompson
Stay in that corner. 3, 4, how do you feel? 5, you want to keep going? 6, give me gloves. Box!
Well, I said, welcome to Atlanta, where the players play, and Lionell Thompson came to play, landing that right hand, dropping Uzcategui in late round dramatics.
I was about to say, why is he not moving the right hand that much? And sure enough, there it was.
Watch out. I didn't see it. I didn't see it. You can't be too overconfident in this with this guy. You need to work, okay? He's going to get you if you're not aware, okay? But we got to keep working, okay? It was a quick one, but keep working on it.
Well, Uzcategui was sent down early in his fight against Caleb Plant in the second round. Here in round 1, he is sent down by Thompson, who hits him with that beautiful right hand, kind of uses the jab as a rangefinder, and then came with the right hand. You'll see the jab is a rangefinder, more than a rangefinder, it landed.
Beautiful combo.
And the straight right hand came behind it. So the early woes of Uzcategui in his fights continue.
And Uzcategui had himself a pretty decent round for that point. But the old 1-2, literally just textbook 1-2 by Thompson.
So Lionell Thompson with the late round knockdown to kick off this fight. Uzcategui went down twice in the fight against Plant, now down for 5 times in his career. Thompson has also been down 5 times, and Thompson looking to use the jab to close the distance.
Break, step back, quit holding, box!
And you heard Uzcategui's corner imploring their fighter to not play around, to not be taking things lightly here, Al. Lionell Thompson didn't come in to be the B-side despite the nickname Lonnie B.
Exactly. Jose Satala, the trainer of Uzcategui, says he admits that he thought he wasn't as aggressive in his instructions to Uzcategui in the last fight, that he didn't show the urgency he needed to. Well, there he did. He said, you can't mess around.
And so far, Thompson keeping it simple, but keeping himself in a position where he keeps out of danger when he's on the defensive and shoots some simple shots. But so far, he's gotten the job done with the 1-2 that dropped Uzcategui and a jab that still bothers him, although it is a good jab by Uzcategui.
Sharp jab by Uzcategui. Their one common opponent, Derek Finley. Uzcategui recorded a third-round TKO in June of 2016. Thompson was knocked down in the 9th round, but still won a 10-round unanimous decision against Finley back in September of last year. As we move near the midway point of the 2nd round, Uzcategui looking to bounce back after being dropped in the opening frame.
Remember, Thompson coming down.
Nice lead left hook by Thompson. Yes, that's right. Although in his last fight against Sigmund, it split the difference, fought at 173. As he said when we asked what it was like to reach 120, 168, nothing but pain and suffering, but off to a good start here, Al.
Yeah, he'd been facing all fighters at 175 that were bigger than him. Remember, we saw the weight when they came in here trying to rehydrated. It's Thompson who's the bigger man.
Yeah, and the weight was obviously carried in that right hand that dropped Uzcategui in round 1.
And Thompson told us the loss to Edwin Rodriguez is where he really made himself reassess his future, because he said he hit Rodriguez with everything. A lot of people felt he may have been given the short shrift there, but he said, hey, if I can't hurt a guy like this with all I'm throwing now, I gotta change things up moving down in order to move up. Sweeping left hook there by Uzcategui. The jab splits the guard by Thompson. So nice display of the fundamentals early, Paulie.
Yeah, and Thompson is moving, but his positioning is not bad. And Uzcategui also keeping himself in a position where he wants to be dangerous. He's trying to mentally stress Thompson, but Thompson so far not giving into that mental stress and not making mistakes. Uzcategui's trying to present himself in front of Thompson consistently, trying to cause that error.
We'll take a look at the keys to victory, starting with Uzcategui. He needs to cut off the ring, and not really doing that as well as he'd like when Thompson gives him movement. Using the setup jab, and why does he want to use the setup jab? So that he can land the right hand. He has mostly been missing with those right hands, has not yet gotten a good one in, but that's his goal. As for Thompson, keep jabbing. He used the jab beautifully to set up the right hand that would create a knockdown. Using angles and movement, and he's done that. He hasn't been running around this ring using lateral movement, but just enough to keep Uzcategui at bay, and he's got to mix in right hands. Yeah, I guess he did that once, didn't he?
Let's go, seconds, get out.
The bell and round number 3 of this scheduled 10-round affair at 168 pounds. As Thompson lands another solid 1-2. And his amateur pedigree speaks for itself. Was a decent enough amateur to be looked at for the Olympic team. And while he didn't make the Olympic squad, again, continues to show that he has a solid foundation here early in this matchup, looking for the biggest win of his career.
Don't be holding.
That jab is bothering Uzcategui. He's going to have to start countering it a bit more effectively, giving some better head movement. A good hook there by Uzcategui.
Yeah, and Uzcategui's not known as a left hook artist, but he's got to mix something like that in to kind of vary things a bit. Can't just be jabs and right hands. And
nice left hand there. Left hook to the body, but immediately countered by another sharp jab from Thompson. A minute gone here in round 3. And Thompson really busy with the jab.
Subtle change here, though. Uzcategui is setting down in his punches better in this round, and he's starting to get some of them in. So he's made a little bit of an adjustment here. We'll see if it works.
Oh, wow. Gets tagged again with that jab. That continues to be the bread and butter for Lionell Thompson.
That jab is really something for Thompson. It's frustrating Uzcategui.
Let go of his head.
And you know all about frustrating opponents with a solid jab, Mr. Malinaji.
Yeah.
Let go of him.
Right hand to the body by
Let
Thompson.
Go of him. Let go of him.
Referee Chip imploring
Stop
them
fighting.
to separate.
You're both holding. Stop fighting. Stop fighting for a minute. Quit holding. Quit holding. Box.
I don't know that they're holding that much.
Yeah, I agree. You know, neither man really wants to work that
cut.
much inside.
Caught in the right eye of Thompson. Good hook there again.
Lionell Thompson cut for the first time in his career here in round number 3. A minute left. Continues to fire back with effective combinations, and that cut appears to be just over the right eye.
Yeah, and we don't know if it came from a clash of heads or a punch.
So Uzcategui facing adversity at the end of round 1, and with a decent round here for Thompson, has to now work with that cut over his right eye.
Oh, clash of heads in there.
Let go of his arm. Let go of his
Clash of
arm.
heads there. Yeah, interesting to see get on the replay what caused that cut if it was a clash of heads.
But again, Thompson lands the right, but counter right hand scores for Uzcategui.
When Thompson lands, though, it's a bit cleaner. Uzcategui lands, but Thompson's a lot of times able to roll with the shots.
And Thompson comfortable with being along the ropes.
Or smothers. He
Step back. Step back. Box.
Here is Uzcategui throwing a nice straight left jab that we believe is the spot where the cut took place. And shortly after that, some blood was flowing. So we believe that was the spot. And if that is the case, of course, and this fight would be stopped. They did not indicate to us that it was a clash of heads.
Let go. Let go.
This fight was stopped.
Let go.
It would be a win for Uzcategui.
Punch out of there.
Round 4, and isn't it interesting? Or at least I've been exhorting the jab of Thompson throughout the fight, and it's a jab from Uzcategui that creates the first taste of adversity for Thompson.
Ironic.
Don't you think?
Let go of him. Let go of him, Jose. Jose, let go.
So I know when you're suggesting irony.
Time. Go to that corner.
Canadian reference there, too, with Alanis Morissette.
1 point from this fighter.
We have a
for
Canadian
holding.
coming up.
This guy
from this
is
fighter for
killing you
holding.
guys.
1 point from this fighter for holding.
I'm sorry.
Oh, he's doing more commentary than we are.
Every time there's a clinch, he thinks somebody's holding. Sometimes there's a clinch when there's no holding. Every single clinch in this fight that there's been a clinch, this guy's been warning guys about holding. Not every clinch is a hold. Sometimes guys just lock up. Literally every time there's a clinch, this guy's been warning for holding. He was dying to take a point, and he finally did.
And we will hope to get what Paulie Malignaggi really thinks about this in just a moment or two.
Because it's very,
I hear you,
it's very difficult to get in there and fight at this level.
Absolutely.
And you don't need a guy constantly in your ear over some BS stuff like that. Like when there's holding, it's very obvious, but it's not every clinch.
Very early in the match for a
A lot of times they're jockeying for position in there too.
Yep.
And that
Another jab splits the guard of Uzcategui.
And that essentially negates the knockdown.
That's
for
what I was
Thompson.
just going to say. You read my mind, Paulie.
And Thompson, as we've seen on tape and throughout his career, really effective with just setting up the combinations and then using the jab not just as a range finder, but as effective punch.
Yeah, he likes it as a weapon, you know, and it has been used that way, even though, as we said, it was Uzcategui's jab that created the cut, but the Thompson jab has been a good punch.
Sonny Liston used to use the jab.
Boy, did he ever, yeah.
Break, step back.
Not to mention George Foreman.
Oh, my. A minute remaining here in the 4th, scheduled for 10. Thompson's first fight at 168. Uzcategui hoping to record a victory that puts him in line for another opportunity to vie for a piece of the 168-pound crown.
There you go.
Oh, sweeping left hook behind the guard by Uzcategui.
I think Uzcategui, and he is doing it, needs to throw that hook a lot. That's the punch that is connecting most often. He's not by nature a left hook artist, but I think it would serve him well.
Yeah, and he's gotten to the body a couple of times well with it as well.
That's it. Let go of him. Let go of him. There you go. Punch out.
Uzcategui defeated Andre Durrell in their rematch to claim his piece of the 168-pound pie. Of course, their first meeting ending in controversy. Disqualification loss for Uzcategui, was then sucker punched by someone in Durrell's camp. And here we go at the end of round 4. And again, George Chip, the referee, making himself a headline in this matchup.
This is what happens when you go to a commission that doesn't have a lot of fights, unfortunately.
Wrong guy. Ready?
And you were saying, Pauline Malignaggi, as we go to the 5th round here.
Take a look at the point deduction. When the referee Chip decided that he'd seen too much holding. They're on the inside, and for the well, now if in fact that was what he did the point deduction
no, he took it for holding.
Right,
and it's actually Lionell being held underneath the arm.
He did not. That was not something he'd given him warning about, and he didn't indicate that. He did indicate it was for the hold.
But Lionell's trying to create space there.
Yeah,
he's trying to create space there by pushing. His right arm is being held, and he's trying to create space by using his left arm to push off Uzcategui.
Look on Thompson's face says it all.
And then later, the mouthpiece would go out of Lionell Thompson's mouth. Now, and it wasn't punched out. Now, one of the things you can say, I don't want to pile on too much, but it is true. The referee didn't wait for a break in the action.
He actually waited for the action to increase.
Exactly, and that is not quite appropriate. Yes.
Well, this referee, George Chip, has 17 years experience officiating his 301st professional fight, but a strictly regional ref. Has worked only one 10-rounder thus far this year heading into this fight, so not a lot of experience in the year 2019, and off to a bumpy start here as we begin round number 5. And again, Thompson stabbing the midsection with that jab.
And so far, when you round to close, competitive, where subtle things like a point deduction can come into play.
Well, and the other thing about the last round, and it'll be interesting, we'll see how Steve Farhood, our unofficial scorer, did score it. If you thought that Thompson really controlled that round, then it might not be a 10-8 round, even with the points done.
Nice left hook to the body by Thompson. Hopping the jab off effectively.
I'll tell you, Scotty has shown some really frightening power at this weight class in his career. So far, I mean, I haven't seen Thompson really affected by anything. I mean, he hasn't been hit super cleanly, but so far nothing in the style of Thompson or the body language of Thompson shows you that he's intimidated by the power of Uzcategui.
24 of Uzcategui's 29 victories have come via form of knockout.
Yeah, and in fact, he's been getting hit by big light heavyweights, so now he's at 168 and maybe not as much power.
And he, you know, in all sincerity, he was serious when we talked to him, saying, I'm the best kept secret in boxing. He's had opportunities. We know his lone knockout loss came back in 2012 against Sergey Kovalev, and he's even been in the ring with Jean Pascal's older brother, Nicholas Pollard, who, of course, Pascal will be involved in our next matchup against Badou Jack. So Thompson, again, not the best record, but has been in hard-fought battles.
It's like he's lulling Uzcategui to sleep. You know,
that's a very good point.
Like, look at the way Uzcategui's pressuring. He's kind of like, he's giving the head movement now, but no feints. It's kind of at one speed. Like usually Uzcategui's intensity is a little better. Even in the plane fight, although he wasn't getting his hands off, the intensity of the pressure was much more than it is here tonight.
And Uzcategui finished that fight very impressively against Caleb Plant, and they thought that might carry over to this fight, and it hasn't. And you made the point, a couple of these rounds are close, so it doesn't mean that Thompson, you know, even with the knockdown, is running away with things.
No, because Thompson's been mainly a jab guy.
Yeah, but he certainly seems like he's controlled the fight.
There's a right hand, but good head movement by Thompson, riding with that right hand from Uzcategui.
Step back.
Thompson's had himself a very good round here, though.
Beautiful, baby. That's the champ I know. That's the champ I know, baby. You're boxing beautiful, you're in your groove. Let's keep it working, you got me? Keep it working. All right? Now just keep the rhythm going, you got me? He's going for feint, because you're hitting him with so much stuff. You're hitting him with the jab. You see it. Keep working him, baby. All right?
You're looking for the perfect punch. You're looking for the perfect punch. You're not listening to me. You got to keep away, and now you're going to have to start throwing, and a lot, and throw everything. This round, you got to throw everything. If they knock you out, they knock you out, or you knock them out. You're waiting, you're waiting. You can't do that. Listen to me. Let's go.
We talked about the ring being the theater of truth. A lot of truth being spoken in Uzcategui's corner right now by Jose Cital.
That's for sure, and as we said, he thought he needed to light a fire under Uzcategui, which he didn't do as much of as in the last round. Last round, according to show stats, Thompson landed 20 of 48 punches. That was his high for the match. Uzcategui only 6 of 36. So that's why Donald Patterson in the corner of Lionell Thompson was so happy with this man's work.
We begin the second half of this 10-round, 168-pound affair as we go now to our unofficial score. Steve Hart as Thompson lands another hard left hook to the side of Uzcategui's head. How do you have it at the midpoint, my friend?
Oh, I have Thompson controlling this fight. We have the 10-8 round in round 1 with Thompson scoring the knockdown late in the round. I think he was leading in that round anyway. And then the round 4, I thought Thompson won that round, so I scored it 9-9 because of the 1-point deduction for holding. I've given Uzcategui only 1 round in this fight, and I have Thompson ahead 3 points.
Thompson has won 2 in a row, 7-3 in his last 10 outings, coming off a victory over Scott Sigmund via 7th round TKO in September in Las Vegas. So continuing to ride his wave of momentum, making his first appearance at a lower weight class against a guy who's been one of the top fighters at 168 out.
Uzcategui often thought of as kind of, as they said, a boogeyman in this division, and some of that was probably erased with Caleb Plant. Lost. The Uzcategui's people said we want to prove that was a fluke. You know, Thompson has lost 3 of his 5 fights by split decision, so he wants to do enough to make sure he doesn't lose a decision.
Good right hand there by Thompson.
Yes.
And I'll tell you, Al, you know, I don't know, this fight is kind of showing that the Plant fight was a bit more than a fluke. This is a kind of a stylistic thing here. Shifty guys with Uzcategui give him a lot of trouble because Uzcategui's the kind of guy who wants to be planted to let go of his big bombs. And he's the kind of guy, the unfortunate thing about guys like that is they will only throw when they're planted. So a shifty guy will keep them from planting, or they'll feint when they're starting to plant and almost throw off their ability to throw punches. And it seems like he's not made that adjustment since the Plant fight.
With a guy who really counts on his jab, interesting to see there the show stats where we have Thompson landing more power punches than Uzcategui out.
Yeah, he is, and we just saw a lead right hand from him. And he is, in fact, leading in the...
another right hand lands for Thompson on Uzcategui. Uzcategui came back from the loss to Plant, blowing out Roberto Valdez in the first round in September.
But look at the way that 1-2 landed. It was right off the shift. Thompson took a couple of steps and then shot that 1-2. Uzcategui doesn't have the ability to do that. He needs to completely plant. Thompson can actually let go of some sharp shots off the movement, and it's really befuddling Uzcategui.
Our ringside scorer, Steve Farhood, also our resident historian.
Mo, Atlanta doesn't have necessarily a deep boxing history, but there have been some very significant fights here. None more significant than Muhammad Ali's comeback fight after 3.5 years off in exile against Jerry Quarry, Georgia, the only state that would license Ali at that point. That was a big night, not only for Ali, but for Atlanta as a whole. They all came out to see him. Evander Holyfield, of course, is Atlanta boxing. If you haven't seen his 15-round war with Dwight Muhammad Qawi, watch it on YouTube, please. It's maybe the last great 15-round fight. And let's not forget the 1996 Olympics were here in Atlanta. Floyd Mayweather, the promoter tonight, got a bronze in that Olympics. Antonio Tarver a bronze, and the only gold medal for the U.S., David Reed. So Gervonta Davis carving his own piece of Atlanta history tonight.
Stay back.
And Evander Holyfield will be speaking to our Brian Custer later this evening as we get set for round number 7, scheduled for 10 at 168 pounds, where Thompson in his maiden voyage in this weight class, rather smooth sailing.
Yeah, that's for sure. And that minute we just heard is why you want to listen to Steve Farhood on our Showbox series and also on our website where he does resumes of famous boxers. Anytime you can listen to Steve Farhood, you want to do it.
Quit holding. Box.
And there's the scoring of Steve Farhood as he continues to score this fight.
Uzcategui having difficulty cutting off the ring, does so there, pops the jab, but Thompson able to immediately impose his will and bring it back to the center of the ring, ducks underneath Uzcategui's offensive attack.
A bit more urgency in the intensity of Uzcategui this round, though. He's got a little bit more pep in his step in trying to corner Thompson.
Thompson making it a rough and tumble affair when necessary.
Very seldom does a fighter go down in weight at age 34. And a remarkable and interesting decision by Thompson that right now looks like it's bearing fruit.
Step back, quit pushing.
So there's still rounds to go in this fight, and Uzcategui is a good power fighter.
Uzcategui digging away to the body with the left hand, but a big advantage in the jab department for Lionell Thompson as we see him deliver 2 jabs there. Minute and a half remaining in the 7th round. Thompson looking to make the most of this opportunity. A chance to knock off one of the better known, more talented fighters at 168 pounds, put himself in the conversation.
And in this round, Uzcategui, for one of the first times, is throwing more punches than Thompson. Thompson's only thrown 17 punches to this point in the round. So,
but lands a nice right uppercut as he separates from Uzcategui. And the left hand. And he may not be throwing a lot, but he's connecting a lot out.
He is, that's very true.
It's the accuracy of Thompson very good, but Uzcategui's intensity has increased this round, and it's forced Thompson to try to smother a bit, as he hasn't been able to get away as much.
There's a sharp right hand from Uzcategui, and another right hand through the guard by Uzcategui, who's definitely picked up his intensity, uptaking his offensive performance as well, going to the body with a sweeping left hook.
And you see how fast he cut off the ring there as well. He's trying to eliminate the escape routes for Thompson and really add that mental stress as well as the physical punches.
Here's Thompson also bothered by something in his left eye after a punch. Nice jab there by Thompson.
Best round of the fight for Uzcategui.
Yeah, agreed.
Cuando corre para atrás, tira golpes largos.
That's what I want. That's what I want.
Eso es lo que quiero.
That's what I need.
Agua, agua, agua.
Let me get some water for him there.
Eso es lo que quiero, cabrón. Manténtela así encima.
That's what it is on top of him. That's what you got to do.
A ver, alza la cabeza.
Put your head up.
Keep working. Working beautiful. You got all the tools. Use whatever you need. In the middle, hard uppercut up in here. You got me? Yeah. Hard shots up in here.
A look back, and Uzcategui working on the inside, but this is that nice uppercut that Thompson threw as they were separated.
And the interesting thing is, Thompson didn't step back until after the uppercut. It's almost weird that Uzcategui's the one that gave him the space for it.
Yeah, that's a very good point.
Lead left hook by Thompson to kick off round number 8. Thompson's corner, letting him know that he has all the tools, and of course the most important tool is the one between your 2 shoulders as Uzcategui continues to show an aggressive side here, but again gets clipped by a left hook by Thompson, and again gets cuffed on the face by Thompson, just unloading on Uzcategui.
He is really hurt now.
Yeah, he's trying to, he's trying to tell Thompson to come on and bring it, but those are 2 good shots.
And Uzcategui coming forward.
You don't want to get to a firefight with Uzcategui, though. You know, he's the guy who's known for the power. Thompson's done a very good job of being sharp. And here he goes back on his bicycle a little bit, trying to create some space and back on the jab.
Thompson making the investment to the body with the jab as Uzcategui on the hunt.
Stop fighting, stop fighting, stop fighting. It's not a knockout.
You know, ironically, that was a left hook from Thompson that hurt Uzcategui.
Oh, good lead right hand by Uzcategui. Good shots being landed this round.
Under 2 minutes left in the 8th.
Punch out. There you go.
And there's a right uppercut by Thompson. Straight right by Uzcategui. Thompson trying to keep Uzcategui thwarted with the jab, then utilizing lateral movement.
This is the most lateral movement we've seen from Thompson in this fight.
Oh, and Uzcategui missing with that wild punch, expending energy.
But he's got to start counterpunching those misses by Uzcategui, or the pressure's going to start to increase, and Thompson is going to start to get more and more uncomfortable. He's got him missing, but if you don't make a guy like that pay, he's only going to increase that pressure because he sees it's bothering you.
And Thompson very open with the fact that it wasn't easy, it wasn't fun to come down to 168, Alan, yet acquitting himself well, but we are getting into the deep water.
That's a very good point, and will that coming down in weight impact him in terms of his
left
stamina?
Body by Uzcategui. Right hand, and Uzcategui trying to really push the pedal to the metal here, uptaking his offense.
The crazy thing is, it's Thompson who lands the better shots
Yes.
this round, but Uzcategui carrying the round with his pressure. So it's a matter of what you like as a judge.
Take a step back.
Thompson's landing some really sharp shots this round in between all the movement he's been given. Turn southpaw now by Uzcategui, first time in the fight, as he's known to switch.
The most dangerous 2 words in the English language, subjective scoring. There's a jab to the midsection by Thompson. Uzcategui fires off a southpaw jab there, and a lot of shots being landed, like you mentioned, Paulie. Good round here in number 8 as we go to the 9th.
There have been some rough moments, and here we'll see the heads coming together. Well, that was Uzcategui kind of really initiating it, to be perfectly candid.
You missed the hook. You might as well bring in the head to
Why
follow.
not? Yes. and it was right on the eye of Thompson, and he's complaining to the referee.
He's telling the referee.
Here's where Thompson kind of semi went down. You see him slip on the canvas.
Little too much H2O there in that corner.
Yeah, and
that's his own corner.
Yeah, and luckily he wasn't hit when he was down there by Uzcategui. Though Uzcategui tried.
We talked about going into deep water.
Let's go, baby. Stay focused, though.
Round number 9, scheduled for 10 at 168 pounds. Former 168-pound belt holder Jose Uzcategui welcoming Lionell Thompson to the weight class after Thompson campaigned at 175 pounds. Uzcategui went down in round 1 with 3 seconds left in the round from a straight right hand. Thompson was cut over the right eye midway through the 3rd round. 30 seconds into round 4, the referee George Chip docked Thompson 1 point for holding. So plenty of headlines in this fight out.
There are indeed, and good for you for reminding us of all the important ones in this bout. And it speaks to the fact that this has been a very interesting 168-pound fight.
Another sharp jab to the body by Thompson.
You can see some of the Mayweather effect on these fighters.
Very well put.
You see him using the
just going to say.
Stab to the stomach as well, which is a Mayweather staple.
We're going to see that pull counter,
and also
the check hook.
But also using that lead left hook a lot of times after landing a couple of jabs, because you start to disguise the left hand because you got the guy thinking jab, and then you use that whipping left hook. That has actually worked pretty well for Thompson in this fight as well.
Also impressed with Thompson's defense, Al. The way he rides punches, gets just outside of range, the footwork.
Yeah, he has done all of that, and that's part. Paulie alluded to that earlier, and that's going to be a question of whether the judges understand that nuance of when he isn't getting hit flush.
What's the criteria again when it comes to judging, Al? Something about clean, effective punching.
That is.
And defense is also. Always hesitation, though, these days, right? When we're even talking about that.
That is true. The criteria in boxing is whoever is more popular is a decision. Let's be honest.
Well, this is the theater of truth, as I keep saying tonight. A ninth round, nice combination by Uzcategui. Left hook to the body, right hand upstairs. Best combination of the night for Uzcategui. And now Thompson on the back foot on the ropes, trying to jab his way out, pivots to the center of the ring. Under a minute left in the ninth.
You know, there's no question in the last couple of rounds, Thompson has moved a lot more. His activity has been a little bit less. Doesn't necessarily mean he's lost those rounds, but he has given the impression that Uzcategui is the man on the attack.
Body language-wise, he's not landing as much. He's doing less punching and more moving. Uzcategui's still not able to land that's cleanly all the time, but the intensity is affecting Thompson, and you think maybe he's carrying some of the rounds.
Also, there is tape that's loose on the left glove of Thompson. This is when the referee should be stopping the action to get them to fix that.
Sorry, the referee made some adjustments since the beginning part of the fight. He stopped warning for holding so much. And now he doesn't want to stop the action at all. So, the other way was he made some adjustments at least. You know, credit where credit is due.
Yes, well put.
Oh, again, Thompson slips. So
that's his own corner, though.
It is, and they got to be careful with that water spillage.
Uzcategui, as we mentioned, had his good moments, using the jab as kind of trying to set up the right hand, but then he comes with the left hook and does get that right hand in. He's a very good right-handed puncher.
Put it right here.
Last round, stay focused. Ty, put some tape on this real quick or trim it back some.
All right, baby. All right, yeah. Well, wake up, baby. I need you. I need the best of you this round. You got me? Listen.
Okay, last round. Come out southpaw in this round. Come on, you got to win this round. Let's go.
Tenth and final round, kicking off this triple header on the final edition of Showtime Championship Boxing of the Year. Paulie, Uzcategui's corner Sital telling him to come out southpaw. Why?
He does switch a lot, and I've seen him in the other fights. He fights effectively out of both stances. So
we haven't seen him much tonight, if at all.
I haven't seen much switching tonight, but maybe that's the little trick they want to use in the last round because they figure both guys are going to need this round. It could be one of those rounds where it could decide the fight. So if Thompson wanted to come out and win it, all of a sudden he could find himself confused with the southpaw stance. Maybe that's what they're thinking.
Steve Farhood, your unofficial scorecard.
86-83 for Thompson. Just a quick reminder, judges are not impressed with a fighter coming forward unless it's effective aggressiveness. So if Lonnie is moving around the ring and not getting hit, you don't automatically give the round to Uzcategui.
Great point by Steve. Unfortunately, some judges are clueless when it comes to this fact, and still give the rounds
Al
pressure.
Bernstein is never clueless. Al, talk about what you would like to see more out of Thompson in this 10th and final round.
Yeah, I think in this 10th round, he needs to set down on his punches a little bit more, and Donald Patterson was kind of suggesting that, and make sure that he lands enough to give the judges the idea that he can stand his ground.
Paulie, we've seen Uzcategui show a little more aggression. What does he have to do in the final minute and a half to curry favor with the judges?
He's trying to be a little bit more accurate, but also, you know, just keep the intensity up on the pressure. When he lifts the intensity on his pressure, Thompson finds himself trying to smother and hold a bit more than he does try to punch. So, you know, you can kind of put Thompson in a position of panic. Right now, he's kind of in that first or second gear right now, Uzcategui. He's coming forward, like going through the motions, but he's at the mercy of Thompson's jab here if he doesn't increase the intensity.
Lionell Thompson talking about the fact all he wanted was an opportunity, another chance to change his family's life. And here, in the final minute of this fight, has acquitted himself well, moving down in weight, looking to upset Jose Uzcategui, and that jab's been his calling card all night. Yet Jose Uzcategui, he wants another crack at the 168-pound belt. We'll have to see how the judges will render their decision if we go the final 35 seconds out.
In this round, there's no question Thompson has controlled it with the jab, and Uzcategui has fought about 90% of this round as a lefty. I think that was a tactical error because he doesn't as powerful as a left-hander.
Interesting, though, you know, a lot of times you nullify the jab of a right-hander when you go southpaw, and Thompson still has had an effective jab nonetheless.
Really interesting point.
So much that Uzcategui's gone back to right-handed.
Yep, very good point.
So Lionell Thompson in his debut at 168. Is he about to upset Jose Uzcategui? The judges will render their decision. Smile from ear to ear for Lionell Thompson, the 34-year-old who,
I think so.
again, born in Buffalo, had to endure many setbacks and the lone knockout loss of his career to Sergey Kovalev in 2012, but now aligned with Mayweather Promotions in Las Vegas.
Yeah, and we look at the show stats, and one of the interesting things here is that, you know, Thompson landing at a really good rate, 32%, which is a pretty good rate overall, and 33% of his power punches, which is everything other than the jab. And that's pretty significant when you consider that we knew he was going to have the edge in jabs, which he does have a big edge.
What's also significant is the stats of Uzcategui and how not as robust as they are.
No question about that. And as you look round by round at the punches landed according to show stats, you see that while some of these were not wide variances, some were, and enough more were for Thompson, certainly, in terms of winning each round. And a reminder, boxing scored round by round. So
every round, right, he outlanded him.
Right, and if there are more rounds where you see a bigger difference, more than likely those rounds will go to Thompson.
I know. Barometer, just a tool as Lionell Thompson comes over and looking for some validation from Paulie Malignaggi. Good show of sportsmanship between the two pugilists inside the ring. And while we await the official decision, let's go back to Mr. Boxopedia, Steve Farland.
Mo, the International Boxing Hall of Fame has its inductees for 2020. They'll go into Canastota, New York in June. Another outstanding class. The three men's modern category fighters, Bernard Hopkins, Juan Manuel Marquez, Shane Mosley, all no-brainers. The best thing about the Hall of Fame this year, women boxers for the first time are going in. They couldn't have picked two better initial inductees than Christy Martin and Lucia Riker, both from the 90s. Non-participants, you see three promoters, Lou DeBella, Kathy Duva, and the late Dan Goosen. They promoted some of the biggest fights in the last few years. And the observers, a couple of colleagues of mine, Bernard Fernandez, president of the Boxing Writers Association for a long time, and author and investigative writer Thomas Hauser. Another good year going into Canastota.
All right, Steve, in 2011, it was Jean Pascal who lost his title to Bernard Hopkins, who at 46 became the oldest fighter to win a title then. He later broke that record. Pascal about to be in action against Badu Jack as Lionell Thompson's right eye being tended to with that end swell. Uzcategui's 10-year-old son a little emotional as he awaits the decision. Here is Jimmy Lennon Jr.
Ladies and gentlemen, after 10 rounds of action, we have a unanimous decision. Here are the score totals. Judge at ringside, Max DeLuca scores about 95 to 94. Harold Hunt and Nola Oliver both scored about 96 to 92. All three in favor of the winner, Lionell "Lonnie B" Thompson.
Highly touted in the gym and now highly touted in his 168-pound debut, Lionell Thompson defeats Jose Uzcategui, recording the upset, Al, to kick off tonight's proceedings in the ATL.
3 times before, he has lost by split decision. Several of those very, very disputable. Tonight, this man is a risk taker coming down to 168 pounds at age 34. The risk paid off.
And for Uzcategui, really a bad style matchup. You know, this guy is a very effective, very good, exciting fighter, but, you know, back-to-back fights against shifty guys, clearly that's his kryptonite. If you put this guy against guys who want to trade and get in there, you have some good stylistic matchups, and probably he'll be more effective.
Let's bring in our unofficial score, Steve Farhood.
First, the official scores, gentlemen. What we saw was a fairly one-sided win for Thompson. And remember, we had the knockdown and the point deduction from Thompson. Interestingly, as we look at my score, I had it 96-92. But I scored the first round 10-8 for Thompson. And as we go back to the official scores, I see that Max DeLuca, one of the more experienced judges in the world, scored that first round 10-9 for Thompson. The other two scored at 10-8, so that's kind of interesting. But clearly the judges got it right. Thompson controlled the fight despite that 1-point deduction, and he wins unanimously.
Lionell Thompson set out to prove to the odds makers that the word side should not be added to the end of his nickname, Lonnie B, and he goes 10 rounds with Jose Uzcategui moving down from 175 in hopes of moving up the money tree. And yeah, he'll get another opportunity to make some cold, hard cash as a prize fighter at 168, Paulie.
Sure will. Good performance.
All right, time to say hello once again to Mr. Brian Custer.
All right, Mo, thank you. Hey, keep in mind, Lonnie B told us he felt like Uzcategui was a one-trick pony who just relied on that big right hand. He said, I will nullify that right hand with my boxing skills, and I've taken punches from heavier guys than him. I will show you that I deserve to be at 168. I'll tell you what, he was true to his word. Great boxing display by him. He showed that he's got combinations. He put them together against Uzcategui as well. Congratulations to Lonnie B. Good victory for him. Now listen, you saw how Steve Farhood and the judges scored this fight. We ask you, tweet your results to us at Showtime Boxing. And 74% of you were right there with the judges and gave the victory to Lionell Thompson. And one of the things that I love that we do, we take you inside the ring. We capture some great audio in the corners, and we call it Trainer Tracks.
We pulled out that first round with that knockdown. You know you can hit him. Just be a little bit more careful.
I didn't see it. I didn't see it. You can't be too overconfident in this with this guy. You need to work.
Keep the jabs working. Now just look at what's coming back at you. You got me?
I got you.
Keep a little movement working. Let's keep him in the center of the ring.
Wrong guy.
It ain't a better boxer in the world than you. We knew that. We knew that coming in.
You're not listening to me. You got to keep away, and now you're going to have to start throwing, and a lot, and throw everything. This round, you got to throw everything. If they knock you out, they knock you out, or you knock them out.
Now we got to suck it down. This is where it's at. You got me? Now you got to suck it up, and now we got to win these rounds. Listen, give me the best of you. Give me the motherfucking champ that I know. You got me? Box this guy's ears off.
You did it.
Did it, baby. Love you, boy.
Love you more, world champion.
Knew from world day one, boy.
Thank you, Chef.